Welcome back to the worst town in each New Jersey county. If you watch part 1 and you're still here, one of two things happened. Either you weren't personally attacked yet and you're waiting for your county, or you were personally attacked and you're angry enough to keep watching. Either way, we appreciate the engagement. We've got 11 more to go, Mercer through Warren, and I want to be clear, the second half of this list does not get easier. Let's get into it. Our first stop is in Mercer County, where Trenton makes, the world takes. That's the sign on the bridge. That's their motto. That's the whole thing. And it's historically true. Trenton did make things: steel, rubber, wire rope. This city built the cables that hold up the Brooklyn Bridge. Trenton made things that connected the world. And then the world took everything and left Trenton to die. What remains is a state capital that the state itself refuses to invest in. The government complex is there, the state house is architecturally gorgeous, and the rest of the city has one of the highest violent crime rates in the state. Legislators drive in, legislate, and drive back out to Princeton or Lawrenceville or wherever they actually live. The capital gets the liability of hosting state government, traffic, parking, the footprint, without getting any of the benefits. Trenton's poverty rate sits around 25%. The schools have been in various states of crisis. The tax base has deteriorated, and the city is literally surrounded by wealthy municipalities. Princeton is right there, West Windsor is right there, and Trenton just sits in the middle of all of it, looking like an open wound the state keeps treating with Band-Aids. A city of 90,000 people that should be a crown jewel of the state, given that it's literally the capital. And instead, it's a reminder that New Jersey has been failing its most vulnerable cities for half a century. Next, we're in Middlesex County, which sits one of the oldest cities in the continental United States. Perth Amboy has a genuinely interesting history. It was one of the original colonial capitals of New Jersey. It's got waterfront access on Raritan Bay. It has real bones. And then the 20th century happened. Perth Amboy is now one of the most economically stressed cities in Middlesex County, a county that includes New Brunswick with Rutgers and Edison and Woodbridge and a bunch of places that are doing fine. Perth Amboy is the outlier. High poverty rates, schools that have been under state monitoring, a waterfront that should be a development asset but has been chronically under-leveraged, and a city that has become a first stop for immigrant communities. The refinery presence along the waterfront has also made this place one of the more environmentally burdened communities in central Jersey. You've got industrial facilities, you've got a tax base that can't keep up with demand, and you've got a city that keeps almost having a comeback and then doesn't quite get there. Perth Amboy is Middlesex County's should have been. There's a version of this city that's awesome. It's just never quite arrived. Monmouth County, Spring Lake, Seagirt, Rumson, Deal, Fairhaven. Some of the most expensive, most sought after, most beautiful real estate in the state. Monmouth County is elite shore territory. And then there's Keansburg. Keansburg is what happens when a shore town never got the memo that shore towns were supposed to gentrify. It's right on Raritan Bay, not even the ocean, the bay. And it looks like it's been fighting a losing battle with time since approximately 1987. The old amusement park, Keansburg Amusement Park, has been in various states of operation and sadness for decades. The rides look like they've had experiences. The town got absolutely devastated by Hurricane Sandy in 2012, which is true of a lot of shore communities. But many of those communities had the resources to rebuild and recover. Keansburg didn't quite have that cushion. The recovery has been slow and visibly incomplete. Poverty rates in Keansburg are genuinely jarring when you hold them up against the county averages. This is a county where the median household income is one of the highest in the state. And Keansburg is sitting there looking like it's in a completely different state altogether. The contrast between Keansburg and Rumson, which is 12 miles away, is one of the starkest economic divides in all of New Jersey. Monmouth County's forgotten town on a bay nobody talks about, surrounded by wealth that doesn't trickle over. Morris County is Morris County. Wealth, history, and beautiful towns like Chatham, Mendham, and Mountain Lakes. This county is doing extremely well and has been for a long time. Dover is not doing extremely well. Dover sits right in the middle of Morris County like a reality check nobody asked for. It's dense for Morris County standards, it's got one of the highest poverty rates in the county, and it's been a first-generation immigrant hub, particularly Mexican and Central American, for decades. Downtown Dover has struggled. There's a commercial strip that's been in a long-term decline, punctuated by occasional flickers of activity that don't quite sustain themselves. The schools are underfunded relative to the rest of the county, and the political dynamic of Morris County means Dover doesn't exactly have a loud voice when the county's resources are being allocated. Dover also has a crime rate that is significantly higher than the Morris County average. Not shocking when you look at the poverty and density relative to surrounding towns, but striking when you're standing in the county that also contains Mendham and Chester. Morris County has a lot of comfortable towns. Dover isn't one of them. Not sure the county is listening. Welcome to Ocean County, which has more miles of Atlantic coastline than any other county in the state. And Seaside Heights is the epicenter, the origin point, the place that put New Jersey on a global reality TV stage for reasons that no one in New Jersey asked for and everyone in New Jersey had to deal with anyway. Jersey Shore, the show, took place here. Snooki happened here. The GTL lifestyle was codified here. A generation of Europeans now thinks all of New Jersey is Seaside Heights, and that is a wound that is not fully healed. But the show, somehow, is not even the worst thing. The show actually brought money in. Problematic money, chaotic money, but money. The town itself, off-season, is Wildwood adjacent in its vibe. Vacant storefronts, seasonal businesses boarded up, a boardwalk that gets rougher every year. The crime numbers during peak season are exactly what you'd expect when you funnel that particular demographic into a small beachfront town with unlimited alcohol options and no particular plan. Hurricane Sandy in 2012 also absolutely destroyed Seaside Heights. The iconic roller coaster ended up in the ocean, which is actually a remarkable piece of imagery. And the recovery has been partial and ongoing. Ocean County has genuinely lovely places. Lavalette, Bayhead, and Seaside Heights is sitting up the road reminding everyone what happens when a shore town gets famous for the wrong things. Next, we're back up north in Passaic County. Paterson was America's first planned industrial city. Alexander Hamilton's vision, the Great Falls, which is a spectacular waterfall right in the middle of a city, powered mills that made Paterson the Silk City. This was a place of genuine historical importance. And then the silk industry left, the manufacturing left, and what remained was a city of 150,000 people with a tax base that couldn't support its own weight. Paterson today has one of the highest poverty rates in New Jersey, one of the highest crime rates, one of the most chronically underfunded school districts, and a political history that is, to put it charitably, deeply corrupt. Multiple elected officials have been indicted in recent memory. The city council has had sessions that would make a mob movie blush. The Great Falls National Historical Park is actually beautiful and worth visiting. The city's immigrant communities are vibrant and entrepreneurial. There are real things to appreciate about Paterson. But the city overall has been crumbling for decades and looks like a post-apocalyptic war zone in certain parts. Passaic County's center of gravity and its biggest ongoing crisis. Both things are true. Salem County is the least populated county in New Jersey. It's agricultural, rural, quiet, and it has genuine South Jersey charm in places. Woodstown, Piles Grove, Salem County keeps a low profile. Salem City is the county seat, and it is, by almost every metric, the most distressed municipality in the county and one of the most distressed in the state. Salem City's violent crime rate on a per capita basis is extraordinary. This is a tiny city, under 5,000 people, and the crime numbers it generates are shocking relative to its size. The poverty rate is over 30%. The schools have been in state intervention for extended periods. Salem City also has significant environmental burden. It sits near industrial facilities, and the whole area has that post-industrial weight to it. The The Delaware Bay waterfront, which should theoretically be an asset, hasn't been leveraged for anything meaningful in terms of economic development. And Salem County doesn't have the political clout or the population base to push for the state intervention and investment that Salem City needs. So it just stays there. Small, struggling, largely invisible to the rest of New Jersey, which is honestly the worst thing about it. It's not controversial. It's not in the news. It's just quietly difficult, and nobody's paying much attention. Somerset County has Bernardsville and Far Hills and Peapack Gladstone. Somerset County is home to horse farms and hedge fund managers. The county's median household income is one of the highest in the country. This is where money goes to get more comfortable. Bound Brook is the county's biggest weak spot. Bound Brook sits on the Raritan River, which sounds scenic until you remember that Bound Brook has flooded catastrophically multiple times in the modern era, most notably and most devastatingly after Hurricane Floyd in 1999, when the entire downtown was underwater for days. It was genuinely catastrophic, and the flooding risk hasn't gone away. The Army Corps of Engineers built flood control infrastructure, which has helped, but the damage from years of flood cycles is baked into the property values and the town's economic development potential. Why build here aggressively when the next storm is always a possibility? The town's downtown has struggled to sustain itself. There are development efforts. There's new housing. But Bound Brook, against the backdrop of Somerset County's wealth, is a jarring contrast. A working-class river town that keeps getting hit while everyone around it is fine. Somerset County's most flood-prone, economically stressed municipality. Literally waterlogged by bad geography in a county that is otherwise completely comfortable. Sussex County is the northwestern corner of New Jersey. Scenic lakes, state forests, farmland, small towns. It's rural and quiet and, in a good way, completely disconnected from the rest of the state's chaos. Newton is the county seat, and Newton is just honestly not great. This isn't a dangerous town per se. It's not a crime-ridden city. Newton is something slightly different. It's a county seat that has declined to the point where it can barely fill its own downtown. The main drag has significant commercial vacancy. Businesses that opened optimistically and then closed. A downtown that was supposed to be charming, but feels a little defeated instead. Newton also suffers from Sussex County's broader issues. The county has seen population decline and economic stagnation as younger people leave for better job markets. The hospital in Newton Medical Center, is a major employer, but there's not a lot of economic diversification. And as more of Sussex County's remaining population migrates toward the Route 206 corridor and away from the old commercial centers, Newton gets quieter. For a county seat, Newton has very little pull. It's not a destination. It's not particularly vibrant. It's a small town doing small town things with diminishing resources. Sussex County in miniature, scenic from a distance, kind of hollow up close. Union County has its share of established upscale suburbs such as Westfield and Summit. It also has some of the worst industrial hellscapes in America in places like Linden and Elizabeth. But then there's Plainfield. Plainfield is Union County's great disappointment. This is a city with genuinely beautiful architecture, Queen Anne Victorians, historic mansions, turn-of-the-century brownstones, because Plainfield was, in the early 20th century, a wealthy commuter suburb. Wealthy families built elaborate houses here. It had real elegance. And then white flight happened in the 60s during the riots of 1967. There was a complete collapse of the tax base as money evacuated the city. And what was left was extraordinary historic housing stock being maintained by people who couldn't afford to maintain it in a city whose government couldn't afford to maintain its streets. Plainfield's crime rate is dramatically higher than the Union County average. The schools have faced persistent challenges, and the economic divide between Plainfield and Westfield, which is literally 12 minutes away and has median home prices around $800,000, is one of the sharpest in the state. The beautiful old architecture makes this place even sadder. You can see what Plainfield was supposed to be. The bones are there, the follow-through wasn't. And we end in the far northwest, Warren County. Appalachian foothills, the Delaware River, small towns that look like somewhere else. Warren County's not flashy, and it's not trying to be. Phillipsburg is Warren County's largest town and its most economically stressed. This town sits directly on the Delaware River across from Easton, Pennsylvania. And this is important. Easton has had a genuine revitalization. Downtown Easton has restaurants, arts institutions, activity, investment. It's become a destination. Phillipsburg has watched this happen from across the river and has not quite caught up. The downtown has significant vacancy. The industrial heritage along the river, what used to be steel and manufacturing and rail, has left behind brownfields and empty warehouses rather than redeveloped mixed-use space. The population has been declining for decades. And here's the cruel part. The view from Phillipsburg is gorgeous. The river, the hills, the bridge connecting it to Easton. It's a genuinely picturesque location. The bones of a revitalized waterfront town are all there. But revitalization costs money and political will and outside investment, and Warren County is not exactly a magnet for any of those things. Phillipsburg is Warren County's largest town and its most visible symbol of what happens when industry leaves and nothing is ready to replace it. It sits across from Easton, being a daily reminder that geography doesn't save you. And there you have it, 21 counties and 21 towns that are their county's weakest link.